All right, welcome everybody to LiveStream Under the Moonshine number 287. Tonight we have part 3 of One Small Fire at a Time. So this is a visual novel, guys, I've been reading for the last week or so. We did part 2 last night and it was very, very interesting. I loved part 1 as well. And in this visual novel, the main character is 13-year-old Janice here. As you see right here, great artwork in this visual novel. And she has been in a madhouse for some good portion of her 13-year-old life. And the reason is because she lives in a world called Overture that is basically super magic oriented. Everybody can use magic or uses magic for everything. Everything from washing dishes to driving a car or getting around. The omnibuses, as they call them, all use mana or magic, and almost everything is, controlled, and everything revolves around magic in the world of Overture. And so we are learning about 13-year-old Janice, who is also in the this is a prequel to An Octave Higher, another visual novel that I read back in 2017. It's about a 20-hour playthrough. It's all available on my YouTube channel. I definitely recommend you go check it out. I really love that visual novel. But this is a sequel to that, but it's actually a prequel to the Octave Higher story, probably about 30, maybe 20, 30 years before An Octave Higher took place. And in An Octave Higher, Janice is a grown woman, and there's some pretty interesting events that happen with her in An Octave Higher. But now we go back in time to when she's 13. She's in this madhouse. She's been here for some number of years. And it's kind of sad. We learned in part 2 that she is so depressed, if you would, because she really just wants to die. She feels like very unimportant. She feels like the world is out to get her. And nothing she can do is right, simply because since birth she cannot use magic like normal people. She gets picked on by boys all the time. They pick on her all the time. They use magic against her. She's become quite adept at turning the magic spells against people and being able to defend herself pretty well. But in a event yesterday in part 2, she was going up against about 5 different boys casting magic spells on her, and she was about to get whooped and ganged up on by there was just too many kids casting spells at her at the same time, even though she's quite elusive. And we saw Aiden Wolf here, and he is basically what he is Aiden Wolf is a commander of Overture's police. Basically, he's like a military, if you would. But he's in the most elite special forces unit, I do believe. And he came to the madhouse on a mission from the king himself. And we learn more about that mission and exactly why he was sent to the madhouse. But anyway, when Aiden Wolf yesterday saw this young girl fighting off these boys, he basically took it upon him to cast another spell out of he's very good at magic, and he cast a tornado spell which picked up all the boys that were picking on her, suspended them in the air, and basically made them promise to not pick on a girl again. So he definitely came to her defense, and there really wasn't a whole lot said, but it's been pretty interesting so far. The king of Overture sent him Professor Poe, who is like a scientist, like a really big scientist of Overture, and then Lord Godwin was sent there as well. Lord Godwin is the new owner of Magical Mechanical, which is a big company that produces machines, magic-based machines in Overture. So the 3 of them went to this Eclipse, which is this madhouse where Janice is at, and they were trying to basically say, hey, Magical Mechanicals are going to need a lot of mana potions for their machines that they're making, and we need a whole bunch of mana potions. But we found out that that was kind of deception. They were really sent to the madhouse because the king or the government themselves suspect this Eclipse House of basically buying or illegally buying mana potions or cheap mana potions. Yeah, it's getting pretty interesting. So, Yukari, welcome back. Sarah, welcome back. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys ready to get started with part 3? Let's go ahead and get back into this, guys, and read for about another hour of this particular novel. I'm enjoying it so far. So we're going to go ahead and continue. We are on chapter 5. Alright. Candela says, "So, what did you say to him?" The girl says, "Nothing." "Huh? The child said he wanted a baby brother, and you just ignored him?" The older girl quietly ponders Candela's question. "I would have loved to answer his prayer, but I have not yet acquired that ability. I still haven't." "So you can hear people who pray to you, but you can't speak to them?" "That's correct." "Then what's the point of praying if you never answer them?" That's a fair question. I'm still working on that. I'd like to introduce Fia Leone, our resident goddess. Fia has always thought of herself as a divine, being far above mere humans, but only recently did a definitive piece of evidence finally come to prove that. Supposedly, she started hearing people's prayers. Oh wow. At first I thought she was full of BS, but supposedly, she's starting to hear people's prayers. Okay. "So what's it like, hearing them pray?" "It's noisy." I can imagine that. I can imagine that if you heard, could you guys imagine all the prayers that are sent up to God every freaking day from Earth? Prayers from everything for, "Hey man, I need beer money. If you give me this prayer, if you grant this prayer, I'll never ask for anything again." Think of all the fucking young men and teenage boys that are sending prayers up to God just hoping to get laid by Susie Q in their class, right? "Oh my god, God, if you can just make Susie Q, give in to me and have sex with me, I'll never ask for anything again." People pray for freaking everything. And I can imagine that if you could hear everybody's prayers, it would be quite noisy for sure. That's funny. "More than 1 billion people live in this world. It's hard to keep up with them all. Sometimes I confuse people who want a wife with people who want a kitten." Oh, here's a new prayer coming in. "Dear Goddess, please give me happiness." Aw, how innocent. I wonder if this prayer might be coming from Janice herself. Maybe not. But people don't understand that we gods can't give them happiness. Happiness is like money. If we start to giving out happiness to everyone who asks for it, its value will start to diminish, and we'll have what economists call an inflation. Oh wow. That kind of makes sense, I guess. I've never thought that deep about it. If people can be content with a certain amount of happiness today, they need more than that to be able to consider themselves equally happy after the inflation. Wow. If gods gave happiness to everyone in the whole world, you would have 100% inflation rate. To be as happy as you were before the inflation, you would need twice as much to be happy. And to have twice as much happiness, you would need twice the amount of things to make you happy. Twice as much money, twice as many friends, twice as many wives, twice as much sex, twice as much beer, twice as much whatever it is you love, right? That makes you happy. That's a pretty good point. I like that. But since we have a limited supply of those things, we wouldn't be able to meet the increased demand. In the end, everyone would just end up being less happy. Ah, that does make sense. In order to prevent this, we limit the supply of happiness. If you desire more happiness, You'll just have to take it from someone else. In other words, happiness is meant to be stolen from one another. What? This is getting a little awkward now. So happiness, there's only so much happiness that they give out, and we need to steal it from each other. So yeah, I'm gonna steal your happiness, and then you steal your kid's happiness, and then the kid steals the cat's happiness. Like, what the hell? This is a little bit far-fetched. Neither Candela nor I decipher the goddess's words, but mere mortals like us would never dare question the words of an omnipotent being. Damn. So here comes Ina. Yeah, Miss Sherwood is here. He'll take you to the adult ward. Oh, are you saying your goodbyes to Candela and Janice? Yes, Ina Paladuni. Farewell, Candela, Carol, and Janice. I wish I could tell you that I will continue to watch over you, but I have not acquired that ability yet. So that's Janice there. She looks a little bit different here. And Candela says, if I pray to you, will you be able to hear me? Thea quietly ponders before answering. Only if you have enough faith, my child. That does make sense. That's a convenient excuse, but I like it. Ha 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 ha. Well, no matter, I'm already 16, so I'll be joining you soon. They'll probably move me in next year. Goodbye, Thea. Goodbye, and Janice says, goodbye, Thea. And Thea graces us with her holy nod one last time before turning away to deliver some panting words to the rest of her subjects, whose faith in her, unfortunately, isn't as unshakable as Candela's. Thea, we've met a new character. Now, Colton, he is the owner of this madhouse. Trying to remember his last name, Colton. I believe his name is Colton Sherwood, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, let's go, Thea. Mr. Sherwood's voice is weak. His lifeless gaze shoots past Thea. With nothing more to say, Mr. Sherwood begins to walk, and Thea silently falls into step. She stops when she notices a boy a little further than the others and walks up to him. I was afraid this would turn into a commotion because Drake always liked to make fun of Thea's delusions. But to my surprise, he only whispers his goodbye while meekly looking away. Thea leaves the boy to catch up to Mr. Sherwood, mumbling something about believers not having to fear gods. As Drake starts to turn around, our eyes meet. Wait, no, not quite. His gaze is just a little off. Oh, Thea's leaving! Drake turns and hurries back inside the house. Some of his underlings call out to him, but Drake either doesn't hear them or pretends not to hear them. He avoids them entirely, keeping his head down. The boys watch Drake disappear into the house, questioning looks on their faces. Even I'm surprised. What's wrong with Drake? Usually he'd start looking for some poor kid to bully. But this? Though eventually everyone goes back to their daily routine, lamenting their insanity under a tree or telling their darkest secrets to an imaginary friend. Janice! Janice, let's follow Thea! Huh? Come on, heh. Uh-oh. Candela is a troublemaker, I'm telling you. Candela walks joyfully in the direction of Thea and Mr. Sherwood went. Having nothing better to do, I go ahead and follow her. Candela and I keep about 50 paces behind Thea and Mr. Sherwood, as I slowly meander in unnerving silence through a narrow path between trees and bushes. Oh boy. It wasn't a very long walk, but it felt like one. The door opens and Mr. Sherwood ushers Thea in and quickly shuts the door behind them. Candela is now officially the oldest inmate in the children's ward. The building looks quite different from the one Candela and I live in, and it feels like there's this mysterious aura around it. Very little is known about that building. All we know is that every so often inmates like Thea are considered old enough to move from the children's ward to this house, and then we never see them again. I've heard sounds from inside the building, though. It's your normal mix of chatter and laughter with the occasional screams. It's nothing unusual, so I do know that people live here. It's kind of sad that, unlike the child inmates, they're not allowed to play outside. Though it's understandable. Some of them have probably grown strong enough to punch a hole through the barrier surrounding the complex, levitate themselves out, or completely nullify gravity to allow themselves to jump over all the barriers. I wonder if I can get in. Maybe Mr. Sherwood forgot to lock the door. I walk up to the door and try to open it, but as expected, it is locked. Well, I'll just go back. And just as I'm about to turn around, the door opens. Oriel says, "Oh, Janice, what are you doing here?" "Oh, nothing. I followed Candela here." "Candela?" "Yeah, she..." I look around. There's no Candela. Oh boy. I look around more and spot Candela quite a ways away, crouching in front of a bush, her sketchbook in one hand and a pencil in the other. I squint my eyes and notice a frog hopping back and forth in front of her. Apparently, somewhere between Janice, let's follow Thea, and my coming here, the frog stole her attention. I guess her faith in Thea isn't as unshakable as I thought it was. "Oh, you can't be here, Janice. Let's go back to your own ward. Come with me. I'll walk with you." Miss Sherwood starts walking, and I walk next to her. "You seem to spend an awful lot of time in that building." "My laboratory is there, so I always do my magical science work here." "Magical science work?" "Yes. While my main job is to help my husband manage the madhouse, I also happen to be a magical scientist." "I think I've heard you say that before." We continue to walk side by side. "You're not using the inmates for a weird science experiment in there, are you?" Please, Janice, you shouldn't joke about such things." "I wasn't joking." Oh, that's funny. She's too cute. Janice is freaking adorable. Alright. The small drop of blue liquid evaporated into the fire. So one thing, Johann is his name. Johann was the magical scientist that went with Aiden Wolf and Lord Godwin to the madhouse the day before in the last chapter. And they were able to get one of their mana potions. Basically, they said, hey, we need one of your mana potions to see what you got. And so they gave it to Johann so that he could run experiments on it to see if it is legit mana potions and maybe where it came from, that kind of thing. So Johann is here probably doing an experiment on that mana potion that they got from the madhouse in the previous chapter. So the small drop of blue liquid evaporated in the fire. And that is Johann there. "Boiling point normal," Johann Poe said as he closed his hand, putting out the fire. "Oh dear." He brought his nose close to where the liquid had been. "Normal." He picked up a vial he received the other day and held it in front of his eyes. Deciding that, at first glance, there was nothing unusual about it, he reached into his desk drawer and took out another vial. He placed the second vial next to the first and studied them. Was the liquid in the vial on the right a little darker, or was it just because it sat further from the window? Or maybe the one on the left looked a little denser. It didn't help that once Timololoak was processed into mana potions, it no longer looked anything like the original plant that grew in the east. Timoluak, I guess, I don't know. What are you doing, Professor? A voice called out. Oh. The professor glanced behind him and found a young woman. Oh, Miss Flighton. Perfect. Could you come here for a second? His assistant brows furrowed, and she did as he asked without any argument. One of these, Johann said, pointing at the 2 vials on the desk, is a mana potion. The other is just an imitation. That wasn't accurate, but it was much easier to explain. Can you tell us which is which? Alanis Blyton was one of the brightest students that Johann had ever taught. If anybody could find something he had missed, the teeniest, most minuscule detail, it would be her. She will always look at things from angles he'd never thought of, and they always ended up providing the most obvious clues to solve the mystery. Sometimes a fresh mind, a fresh perspective was needed. The left one is fake, the assistant said, without the slightest hint of hesitation. The answer astonished him. He felt defeated knowing that a mere student, could be so easily accomplish what he had been trying to do all that morning. But then excitement washed it away, not only because a clue might have presented itself, but also from the satisfaction of knowing that taking this brilliant student as an assistant had been a mistake. How did you know? How could you tell it was fake? Johann could barely contain his excitement. Well, the student said, the other one has Conservatoire d'Ouverture written on the label. Oh, pretty only the obvious, right? Am I wrong? No, you're absolutely correct. Johann heaved a heavy sigh. Yeah, that is not the answer he was hoping for. Appearance, normal. He thought for a moment and then said, only one thing is left to test. Miss Blyton, would you bring me back that bucket, please? The woman's gaze followed the professor's finger to an empty bucket as tall as the desk beside it. Huh? What do you need such a big bucket for? She dragged the massive container over. Here you go. Johann's hand hovered over the bucket. He had skipped taking his potion this morning in preparation for this very test. Summon, he said. Water immediately gushed out of his hand and started filling the bucket. It stopped when the bucket was just about filled to the brim. He cast a spell again, but nothing came from his hand. He tried once more, just to be sure, but still nothing at all happened. Wait, Blyton said. You're not thinking of... Johann took the vial on the left, the one that didn't have Conservatoire d'Ouverture written on the label, and he brought it to his lips. Professor, are you sure? You don't know what that really is, do you? It could be dangerous. He was probably still thinking that it was a fake potion, but she was right. Even if it wasn't fake, drinking a potion of unknown origin wasn't exactly the best idea. Johann drank the potion anyway. Well, he said, putting the empty vial back on the desk, the alternative is to teach rats magic so we can do experiments on them. Huh. Oh, you still don't have a topic for your capstone project, right? Want to do your research on that? On what? Teaching rats magic? Yes. I'll pass. I know you're infamous for making students do research on strange topics, but you can please spare me. Johann Poe chuckled as he opened his palm, facing up. The taste of the potion was normal. The texture may have been a little rougher than what he was used to, but that by itself meant nothing. Summon! Oh boy. What was that sound? A fire burst from his hand. Oh, whoa. Chapter 6. The wishes don't come true. Alright. Janice, there you are! Yep, that's it, Ina. What are you doing here? Everyone's worried about you. Oh, just start without me. What are you saying? We can't start without you. Janice! Oh, it's Candela. Janice, the party's starting. Come with us. Just go with Ina. Okay. Janice! Janice, the party's starting. Come with us. Didn't she just tell you to go with Ina? And Janice says, you're going to keep saying that until I agree, aren't you? What? Oh, fine. Let's go. I follow Ina and Candela. And just as we're about to go in, Candela stopped. What's wrong? There's a man at the gate. Huh? Aren't they... It's the three men again. Ah, these are the guys who came last week, aren't they? Ina, your Prince Charming is here. Oh no. He's not my Prince Charming. Why is it that you remember that anyway? You forget stuff all the time. Oh, don't say that. Let's just go greet them. Candela starts prancing towards the gate. Janice, you go with her. I'll wait here. I can't open the gate. I don't have the key. I'll lend you the key. You can't give the key to an inmate. What if I ran away? Oh, you're right. Then at least come with me. She drags me with her before I have the chance to argue with her. Good afternoon, miss. Ah, my name is Ina Polidori. Good afternoon, Miss Polidori. My name is Johann Poe. Good afternoon, Mr. Poe. Are you here to see Mr. and Mr. Sherwood? She opens the gate and allows the three men in. Yes, that's right. Little Janice is here too. Good afternoon, young lady. Hello, Poe. Exactly, Janice. Candela says, Sirs, we're having a party. Come join us. Hey, 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 hey. Oh boy, Candela. A party! Ho, ho, ho. That sounds like it would be fun. Yeah, you should join us. Come on in. Ina leads Poe, Joff, and Commander to the children's ward. Candela and I follow them. From behind. Janice, do you know them? Yeah. The shorty's Poe, the young man's Joff, and the big guy that's Commander Wolf. Wolf? Yeah, he's a dragoon. Wow! Wolf the dragoon! Does Wolf the dragoon have a pet wolf that goes woof woof at him? Oh boy, Candela. After elongating every pair of vowels, she trails off, apparently deciding to tell the rest of the joke to herself. It sounded like it wasn't going to be very punny. Haha, anyway. Ha 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 ha! Apparently, she found the joke very amusing. It must be nice being able to be so easily to find happiness in the little things in life. Boy, there's a lot of truth to that, and that is the key to happiness, I think. I've said that for a long time. We all go through really dark times. We all go through really dark, events in our life, whether it be the passing of our parents, losing someone that we love very much, whether it be, it could be a relationship, could be to death, could be to whatever. We could be going through a very difficult time with hard times at work, or, losing our pet, our beloved dog, or like I know I lost my bearded dragon 5 years ago and took that really hard. Whatever it might be, we all go through these very difficult times, and life presents all of us with real struggles and real dark days. But I've always said it isn't about, focusing on, oh, I need to have a bajillion dollars to be happy. I need to have this happen to be happy. I need to find the perfect wife to be happy, or whatever. The perfect husband to be happy. The key to happiness is, don't look for the big things, or don't focus on the big overwhelming things that we have no control over, but instead learn to find happiness and little joys in these small everyday things, whether it be the taste of a hot cup of coffee. Maybe you love coffee. Maybe it's been hot for 2 weeks and it's been really dry, and then a rainstorm comes in. Just the smell, the fresh smell of rain in the air, the way it feels, the way it smells, the way it cools off the temperatures. That can bring a smile to your face if you allow it to. A beautiful sunset, your cat meowing or purring when you pet it. Maybe you're in line, you're in a big line, waiting in line for 15 minutes at the supermarket on a Friday afternoon because everybody's getting their groceries for the weekend or whatever, for July 4th weekend or whatever. And it's just packed. And so many of us get so annoyed and so aggravated having to wait because we're not very patient anymore. Most of us aren't, let's be honest. But then you're in that line, you're annoyed, you're aggravated, that, oh my god, I have to wait in line, and the line's not moving very fast. But then in front of you, a lady's holding a little beautiful baby, looks like a Gerber baby, and that baby's just looking directly at you. And you look at that baby in the eyes, and it smiles at you. We've all been there. We've all been there. We've all seen that cute little fucking baby that somebody's holding. You've never seen them before, but that baby just gives you a smile, or maybe the baby smiles at its mama or whatever. And you can't help but fucking smile, right? You can't help but just feel that warmth inside you. Those are the little things, but if we just focus on those instead of all these big stresses that we have in life, can help us be happier in life. By focusing on what we have and the little things that we take for granted every single day, take those things, those little things that we take for granted every day, the baby's smile, the sunset, the smell of rain, the way that coffee tastes, maybe the way, I don't know, whatever it is you enjoy. The way that it feels to crack your back in the morning, whatever it is, just the stupid little things that we take for granted. Those little things that happen each and every day to us that we take for granted, learn to find happiness in each and every one of those little things. It's hard to do when we take them for granted so often, but finding joy in those little things can help us be happier. Phoenix says, I completely agree. That's my family and video games for me. I remember to be happy about my rotten cat. There you go. Yep, your cat. I think a lot of us find a lot of joy and internal happiness through our pet. Whether it be a little lap dog that we pet, or, a kitty cat, or maybe even a bearded dragon, as I had a few years ago. Bearded dragons make great pets, by the way. Alright, so we're at this party here in the Eclipse, the madhouse, and everyone's like, Happy birthday, Janice! Look at her face. Look at that art. Look at her face. She's like overwhelmed almost. Wow. Remember how miserable she was back in part 2, guys. We went through her thoughts and how she just wanted to die. She just wanted to not be around anymore because she was really feeling pretty sorry for herself. And it's understandably, I mean, it's hard to not feel empathy for her, because she's such an outcast in this world of Overture. She can't cast magic spells, and she gets picked on, and she's sent to a madhouse because there's no way to cure her mental illness. Her mental instability that prevents her from casting magic spells. And so if you were such an outcast, especially at 13, you probably would, wonder why you were even alive. Absolutely. Phoenix says, I'm glad she has found a group that will help her and treat her well. Well, at least on her birthday, it looks like, yeah. Everyone says, happy birthday, Janice! And again, I can't get over that face. The art is so well done. Ina says, congratulations, Janice. You're now officially 13 years old. Candela says, yay! Janice is 13 now! In 3 years, we'll be the same age! So remember, Candela's 16, guys. So she thinks that in 3 more years, they'll be the same age. Oh my god, Candela. You're not the brightest bulb in the shed, are you? Or the brightest bulb in the light socket, whatever. And Janice says, you'll be 19 by that time. She reminds her. Ha 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 ha! Everyone is beaming, especially Ina and Candela. The sparkles in their eyes could probably be seen from outside. Mr. and Miss Sherwood are smiling, as are the other alienists and the nurses. Even the other kids look ecstatic, though it's probably more because they're eyeing the birthday cake and the tray of cupcakes. Well, that sounds about right. Only 5 people in the entire room don't seem to be enjoying themselves. Well, even 4 of those 5 are, but they're trying to hide their excitement because their leader is scowling. Drake is probably still bitter over what happened the other day. Oh, those damn bully boys, huh? And Oriel says, happy birthday, Janice. This is your 5th birthday in Eclipse, isn't it? I hope this madhouse will continue to be a good home for you. Okay. And Wolf says, happy birthday, Janice. Yeah. Commander, Poe, and Joff are also here to celebrate my birthday. Poe has this really wide grin on his face. And even Joff looks a little kinder than the last time I saw him. And Poe says, oh ho, so the party turned out to be little Janice's birthday party. We would have brought presents if they had told us. Isn't that right, Joff and Wolf? And Janice says, it's okay. I don't need presents. I don't understand the significance of birthdays. All it means is the sun has moved from equinox to equinox and solstice to solstice and returned to the same exact position 13 times since I was born. What's so special about that? Why is it worth celebrating? And Ina says, so does everyone want cake? Me! I want cake! Then it's time for Janice to blow out the candles, but before that, she'll make a wish. Go on, Janice. They make me do this every single year. I have to wish for something. So I did. I did it last year, and I did it the year before that. I did it the year before that. And every year it taught me a very important thing. Wishes don't come true. Aww. Have you made your wish? No? Well, what are you waiting for? Nothing. Huh? I don't have a wish. What do you mean? Everyone wishes for something. Not me. There's nothing left for me to wish for. I'll never be able to use magic, and because of that, I'll spend the rest of my life in this madhouse or a madhouse. People will continue to mock me and pick on me until the very day that I die. And what's in store for me? What's the point of making a wish that'll never even come true? And Ella says, Janice? Witches aren't going to change anything. Huh? All they do is make you more miserable by reminding you that there's something that you want that you're simply never going to get. It's kind of a sad, that's definitely a sad, almost depressing way to look at it, right? Hey now, since Janice won't make a wish, can I make one for her instead? Huh? No, that's not how it works. It's okay, let her have it. But... Go ahead, Candela. Huh? Hey, thank you, Janice. Here we go. He excels, preparing to make her newly acquired wish. Then, with a huge smile on her face, Candela exclaims, oh no. I wish everyone here will be friends forever! Ha 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 ha! That's kind of adorable. Oh my, that's a very wonderful wish. Did everyone hear that? We should all try to be friends with each other. That means no more bullying. Please be nice to Janice. Understand? And children are, yes, Miss Palladori! I didn't hear everyone's voice. Do you understand, Drake? Be a good friend to everyone, okay? Drake doesn't answer. He turns a sullen face away instead. Drake? Suddenly he explodes. Uh-oh. Why are you saying that to me? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Drake springs up, causing his chair to topple, and rushes out of the house. Drake? Drake! Ina runs after Drake, followed by Mr. and Miss Sherwood, Commander, Poe, and Joff. Out of curiosity, and since I really don't want to be at this party anyway, I follow them. Oh boy. Drama, drama! Drake is nowhere to be seen. Instead, we see a 100-foot-long wooden plank that's barely wide enough for a person to walk on. It stands on one end, the other leaning against an invisible wall above the gate, creating a slope. On closer inspection, we realize it's not made out of wood, but rock instead. So a spell, huh? And Poe says, can Drake use earth magic? Bolton says, yes, he can. I see, that's very clever. He must have summoned that rock. He didn't escape, did he? I understand he summoned this to help him get over the barrier, but it's way too steep for him to climb. And even if he did, the barrier is much taller than this thing is. Not if you lower the gravity. Okay. So now we're back here. To the king's castle or whatever. Drake's feet hurt. Climbing the makeshift ladder was easy. And so was the jump at the end. What? Drake's feet hurt, climbing the makeshift ladder was easy, and so was the jump at the end. It was the fall that he hadn't accounted for. Of course, there wouldn't be anything on the other side of the barrier to land on, and he hadn't ever thought about how far the ground would be. In normal gravity, nobody would have been able to survive a fall from that height. Still, summoning that ladder was ingenious. Without it, he wouldn't have been able to lower gravity enough to facilitate a jump over such a tall barrier. Now what? Drake Perrault stared at the alien world around him. Instead of walls, the horizon was filled with buildings of all sizes and shapes. Above those, carriages and omnibuses flew from place to place. Drake finally realized that they weren't just randomly flying over the madhouse, and instead they actually had destinations. The street where he stood, when was the last time he had seen a street, sprawled endlessly before him. But this fascination didn't last long. He was suddenly aware of the size of the world outside of the madhouse. Drake Perrault had never felt so tiny. Damn. Almost institutionalized, huh? He heard footsteps coming from behind him. He wanted to turn around and see who it was, but he decided against it. Instead, he stared at his own feet. He felt a person approaching. Closer Closer, ever so closer. He clenched his fists. The person was closing in on him, and then ended up right next to him. Drake instinctively looked away, but the footsteps began to fade, slowly, gradually, until they eventually just disappeared. When he could no longer hear anything at all, he looked at the street again. He was alone. He exhaled. When had he started holding his breath, and took a tentative step forward? He found himself in a busier part of the city. A dozen people were lining up in front of what seemed like the edge of a platform. Drake guessed they were waiting for one of those omnibuses. More people stood and walked the streets, some talking to each other. He noticed a woman staring at him. When their eyes met, the woman made a face, but since he averted his gaze right away, he didn't know what kind. He passed by a street vendor. Drake didn't stop to see what he was selling. Who either said or asked something of him, he didn't hear what it was. Instead, Drake quickened his pace. Why was he here? What was he doing in the city? What did he hope to accomplish by running away from the madhouse? It was all her fault. It was that stupid girl's fault. Oh boy, Janice's fault. She shouldn't have been able to do that. She wasn't able to use magic, right? Then what did she do? How the hell did she manage to throw him on the ground so easily? He hadn't been injured, but the fall had hurt enough that he had to get Miss Polidori to cast heal on him. When she asked what happened, the boy blurted out that Drake had been knocked out by a girl, and laughed mockingly. Since then, he always felt that people looked at him differently. The other kids no longer looked at him with respect. He might even have heard giggles as he passed a group of girls. Damn, because she whooped his ass, basically. And it was all because of a stupid trick. It had robbed him of all his dominance, reduced him from being a leader to nothing more than a pitiful mess of a boy who had been knocked out by the girl who simply couldn't use magic. Just remembering it made him grit his teeth. So he's humiliated that the girl whooped his ass, but he's not thinking of the fact that he was trying to bully her and pick on her because she couldn't use magic, because she's an outcast, because she's different. He snapped out of his own thoughts. The scenery had changed. Somewhere along the way, the buildings had become more crude, the streets had narrowed, and the brick pavement had turned to dirt. Not only were the people scuffier, there were more of them as well. Oh, I like that sound effect. It's kind of creepy. Drake could feel every single pair of eyes on him now. When he turned his head to avoid them, he just met even more eyes. He tried to run away, but he couldn't escape the gazes of those strangers. There were so many of them. Too many. Their chatter made Drake uncomfortable. Trying to ignore it only made their voices feel even louder, drowning out his own thoughts. It was as if he was being bombarded by their voices. They were talking about him. He was sure of it. This was not where he belonged. They must be talking about the boy who didn't belong on the streets. Drake kept walking. He wanted to go away. Far, far away, anywhere, somewhere, where he could be by himself, with just his thoughts. Here, among all these people, he felt alone. Hey, kid. The rough voice came from the man standing right in front of him. Drake didn't know where to look. There were people all around him. He just stared at his feet again. The man continued. Kid, where are you going? Nowhere. Drake just wanted to go away. What are you doing in this place? Nothing. Drake just wanted to be left alone, damn it. You lost? What do you mean by lost? In a way, he was lost. He didn't know where the hell he was. On the other hand, he didn't have a destination in mind. So how could he be lost? Say something, kid. Say what? Drake had nothing to say. He felt himself shaking now. He was still staring at his own feet. Maybe he should say something. Maybe he should say he was lost. Maybe he should say he just wanted to be left alone. Just say something. Anything. He lifted his head, opened his mouth, and looked at the man's face. And then Drake Perrault turned around and took off in a full sprint. "Hey, where are you going?" the man shouted. Drake just kept running. He heard at least half a dozen sets of footfalls matching his own from behind him, but he refused to turn around. Damn! So that, guys, was the end of Chapter 6. That was pretty good, and we are running at about 53 minutes in. Normally I want to keep these things about an hour or a little under. But guys, for whatever reason, I feel like reading on a little bit further. I just hope it's not a super long chapter. We're going to go ahead and read Chapter 7, so we're going to have a little bit of bonus content in this part right here. We're going to move on with Chapter 7, Partners. I like this visual novel, that's part of it. There hasn't been any news about Drake. Holden says, "Drake, oh gods, where has he gone?" Mr. Sherwood paces back and forth near the gate. Every few minutes he'd go out to the street, only to return with an increasingly grim face. Where could he have gone? He hasn't been outside the madhouse for years. He doesn't know the area at all. What if he gets kidnapped? Or worse? Calm down, I'm sure he'll be back soon. How can you say that? People out there aren't even kind to lunatics like Drake. You know his condition. The police are looking for him. They'll find him. Miss Sherwood is right. My men are looking for him as we speak. Please don't worry, Mr. Sherwood. Mr. Sherwood doesn't respond. His gaze remains fixed on the gate. Speaking of which, what is his condition? That's something I'd also like to know. Drake doesn't look crazy to me. Mr. Sherwood just continues silently looking outside with a worried face. Either he didn't hear the commander's question, or he chose to simply ignore it. Noriel comes in to answer, I guess. Drake has social phobia. He is always nervous around people, especially strangers, and he's prone to having panic attacks. Wait, what? That Drake? Social phobia? Oh, you've been here a long time. You've been here for a long time, right? Don't you remember that Drake has a really quiet when he first came in here? Now that you mention it, you're right. That was 3 or 4 years ago, now that I come to think of it, when Drake came to the madhouse. He was a really timid kid that I never really paid any attention to. And then he randomly decided to start just picking on me. Drake's condition has certainly improved a lot since coming here, Colton says. Mr. Sherwood speaks in a weak, quivering tone. I tried discharging him 2 years ago, thinking he had fully recovered. His parents came to pick him up. They walked him out of the gate, but they hadn't even reached their carriage across the street before Drake broke down crying. That sounds pretty bad. Yes, we immediately readmitted him, and he hasn't stepped outside the gate since then. Until today. Yes. But if he is so anxious around people, why did he escape? Wouldn't he feel safer right here? Well, yes, normally. But a few days ago... Mr. Sherwood darts a quick glance at me. Uh-oh. A few days ago, you don't mean... Yes, when he was beaten in a fight. Oh boy. After you beat him, we noticed that Drake's behavior changed. He has looked very uncomfortable around everyone lately, even his own friends. He wouldn't talk at all during therapy. Wait, are you telling me it's my fault? No, we're not saying that, hon. But his condition worsened all because of me? Well, yes, but... So I'm the reason he escaped. I peer out the gate. Look for Drake or don't look for Drake? Oh, wow. Wow. He's like our biggest nemesis. I feel like this is a big decision. I feel like this is a huge decision. We're gonna look for Drake, guys. I feel like Janice is a kind-hearted young girl. And even though Drake is like her biggest nemesis or whatever, I feel like in this situation, with her feeling like it's her fault that he got beaten and he ran away, she's probably going to feel like it's her fault that he ran away, and she's going to go looking for him. So, Phoenix agrees, yeah, we should totally look for him. And Oriole says, well, you don't need to concern yourself over... I'm going out. What? I walk to the gate. What? Mr. Sherwood stops me before I can leave. What do you think you're doing? I'm bringing that idiot back here. No, you can't do that. It's dangerous out there. It's not dangerous for me. I'm not scared of anything out there. It's even more dangerous for you. You can't use magic. Out there is a world where people use magic all the time. You don't belong out there. I'm just going to find him and drag his ass back here. I don't need magic for that. It's not like people walk around the streets with their arms blazing all the time, right? I don't look any different from a normal girl. People won't even know I'm mad. But, maybe he's right. It might be dangerous for someone who can't use magic to go out there. But so what? What's the worst that could happen to me? It couldn't be any worse than death, could it? So there's nothing to worry about. Damn, it couldn't be any worse than death. I'm going out. Damn! I walk towards the gate again. No, stop! He stops me again. Let's just leave this to the police, okay? That idiot is going to hide from the police. You said he has social phobia, right? Well, maybe he'll listen to me. I'm not a stranger to him. Actually, there's no need for him to listen to anything. I'm going to drag his pathetic punk ass back here whether he likes it or not. I like Janice, that's pretty cool. A bully with social phobia. That is beyond ridiculous. That is kind of funny. That is kind of very ironic, right? Have a cooler madness if you're going to be a bully. Psychopathy, it's a good choice, but specifically the kind where you laugh like a maniac atop some dingy tower at night. Well, you have a point, but still... Whoops. Mr. Sherwood, what if I accompany Janice? I will ensure that she returns here safely. Oh, well, that's fine, isn't it? She'll be under the protection of a Dragoon commander. Nothing could be safer than that. Mr. Sherwood eyes the commander hesitantly for a few moments and then sighs. Yeah, I guess you're right. Very well, Commander. I shall leave Janice in your care. You can count on me, sir. I will keep her safe. Mr. Sherwood just nods. There is nothing more that needs to be said. Okay, I'm going now. I walk to the gate again, and this time nobody stops me. Instead, I feel a gigantic presence behind me. I don't know my way around the city. I've just been randomly roaming through the random streets and alleyways with Commander patiently following behind me. As we walk further from Eclipse, I notice the buildings getting increasingly taller and the streets flooded with more and more people. I don't think Drake would be here. Look at all these people. He'd suffocate in a place like this. Yes, this is the way to the city center. The city center, huh? We are already quite far from the madhouse. I'm surprised you can walk this far and not even break a sweat. Huh? I'm also surprised, but for a different reason. This guy has been following me this entire time, and the first thing he tells me is that we've been going in the wrong direction? So when did you realize we were heading completely in the wrong direction? No, not too long after we left. You should have told me. Oh, my apologies. My duty was only to guard you. Well, yeah, but... Duty, huh? Let's go back. I turn around and start walking. Forgive me, I'm not used to these sorts of missions. Normally, I just follow the king's orders. Granted, I give orders to my subordinates, but you're not one of my subordinates. I stop and turn to face the commander. Commander? Yes? Who ordered you to be my bodyguard? Commander hesitates. Well, nobody. I just thought that... Good. Apparently, I got my point across, since the commander's mouth simply remains open. I turn back and continue walking. What a way for a little girl to kind of fucking talk to a commander, huh? Like, who ordered you to command me? Well, nobody. Okay, then. Wow. For a while, I don't hear Commander's footsteps, but then he suddenly appears next to me. Yeah, exactly, as Phoenix says, she's brave. He's big. Okay, I understand. Nobody orders anybody, is that right? Yeah, we could be like two detectives working together. What do you call those? Partners? Yeah, partners. I like the sound of that. Kind of like those things where one's the good cop and the other's the bad cop? No, not really. You can be the good cop and I'll be the bad cop. Oh? That's funny. Now, we need to find Drake. Where do you think he'd be? Well, if I had social phobia, I'd want to be someplace without very many people. Good thinking, Commander. Any guesses as to where something like that might be? Eclipse is located near the outskirts of town, near the magic machine factories. A lot of people live in the area, but the areas around the factories are usually pretty empty. Nobody wants to be near the factories when they're not scheduled to be. I see. So let's go check one of those then. Let's try one close to the Eclipse. Lead the way, she says, lead the way, Commander. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I like the sound of that. Nobody's ever called me ma'am before. Is this the place? Yes. I look around, but Drake is nowhere to be seen. Do you see him? I'm afraid not. Let's ask someone. I see a man standing next to a cart full of bottles of water. He must be one of those people who can summon clean water to drink. I remember Ina telling me about them. Even though many people can cast water spells, the water usually isn't potable. A few who are able to can usually sell it for a solid profit. I stride over to him. Have you seen a teenage boy around here? The man says, huh? At first, the man looks startled, having suddenly been asked a question, but he quickly composes himself and smiles. A lot of boys pass through the street every day. What does this boy look like? I try to remember what Drake looks like. A brat? He looks like a miserable teenage boy who got his ass kicked by a younger girl. Oh, that's funny. He looks like a miserable teenage boy who got his ass kicked by a younger girl. Oh boy. Wow, that's too fucking funny. Huh? The boy is a little older than this girl. He has short, dark brown hair and was last seen wearing a blue shirt under a white jacket. He might have looked shy, or perhaps scared even. Oh, I remember that boy. I tried to offer him some water because he was sweating, and he was really wobbly. But he just completely ignored me. I do hope he's okay. Do you remember which way he went? That way. The man points at an alley between a coffee shop and what appears to be some kind of small office building. Thank you. You're welcome, officer. Officer, how did he know that the commander is a police officer? Are we doing this good cop, bad cop thing so well that people immediately recognize us as the police? I stare at Commander as we head toward the alley. Maybe something about his face, like the scars? I do find those scars a little, unusual. Yeah, he's definitely got some scars on him, right over his freaking eye. His left eye. There aren't many people with scars on their face. They can just be healed with magic. Wounds only leave scars if they are allowed to heal naturally. But I doubt you can tell whether someone's a cop or not from the presence of a scar. So it couldn't be that. Oh, it's his clothes. That must be the Dragoon's police uniform. I thought they looked a little peculiar. Commander looks back at me. He must have noticed me just staring at him. You certainly had an interesting way of describing Drake's appearance. Well, the man asked me what he looks like, and that's what he looks like to me. Even if that's true, it's not very descriptive. Really? I figured there would be lots of boys with short hair and a white jacket, but not many who got their asses kicked by a girl. Oh, this girl's so fucking adorable. Janice is adorable. How can you not love her? That is wrong, but... Speaking of which, what technique was that? Huh? The technique you used to throw him. That was the first time I'd seen anything like that. Tell the commander my technique? Yeah, we'll do that. Plus, we got a plus. Oh, that. I don't know the name. Before I was admitted to Eclipse, I used to see the circus show. The performers were immigrants from the East. You know, those people with yellowish skin and squinty eyes. Oh man. They don't like that description. But yes, I know what you're talking about. We enter the alley. It's more or less deserted. So Drake could definitely have gone this way. Anyway, there was this part of the show where the performers would attack each other. Not with magic, though. Just their hands and feet. Most people in the audience just laughed at them. But there was this one performer that I found fascinating. At one point, another performer swung this really long knife at him. But he just sidestepped the attack, and suddenly the attacker was sprawled out on the stage, and his knife was in the other guy's hand. A long knife? Like a dagger? How long was it? A little longer than my arm, I think. Ha ha ha, that's not a knife. That's called a sword. Well, since virtually everybody in Overture can cast magic, we haven't used a weapon like that in centuries. They're useless against magic anyway. Oh. That said, I've fought against one of those swordsmen before. I defeated him with fire from nearly 50 feet away. Someone warned me that no matter what you do, you must never let them get close. They said that if they manage to get within 20 feet, you should seriously consider just running away. Is that so? That performer had the sword swung right at his face. He must have been pretty good then. Yeah, but it's possible that the one with the sword was holding back. I watched him swing his sword in practice. It was a blur, and it sounded like a whistle when it cut through the air. You've watched him in practice? Yeah, but I was more interested in the other guy's technique than the sword. It's just that the performers practiced together. So I'd stay after every performance and watch them. After a few days, they noticed me watching and offered to let me join in. We didn't speak each other's language, but he showed me how to perform the moves, and I really just copied him. At first, all I was doing was a bunch of boring forward and backward rolls, and I couldn't even ask why. But I soon figured out that if it was to teach me how to safely respond to a technique, like when I was throwing and stuff. For example, when your arm's twisted, you can untwist it by performing the right roll. Eventually, they had to go back to their country because nobody was coming to their shows. I started living at Eclipse shortly after that. I see. That's an interesting story. Commander and I continue to stroll through the alley, and as we track deeper, our surroundings start to change. The music got intense. Instead of multi-storied buildings that seemingly pierce the sky, the houses that line the sides of the alley are much more modestly sized, just big enough for a family of 4. Interestingly, the streets start to fill with people who, unlike those in the city, seem to avoid overly fancy clothes and useless accessories, instead preferring simpler-looking garments that are much more functional. They look a little what's that word? Dilapidated, though, and I guess it's not really a big deal. Commander and I keep walking. As we pass people on the street, I notice them stealing glimpses at us. Commander, I can understand. He's a dragoon. But why me? Are they aware of my lunacy? Oh no, she's gonna start getting self-conscious. Before I can really think about it, my attention is drawn to a group of 5 men at the end of a smaller alley to my right. Upon closer inspection, it looks like they're ganging up around a boy. Uh-oh. They might have found Drake. Upon a closer inspection, I notice that the boy looks quite miserable, as if he had gotten his ass kicked by a girl. Drake, one of the men has a grip on Drake's left arm and is trying to pull him. Oh, it's one of the Borghi. Let's go, kid. No more running away. You're coming with us. No! Drake's trembling body is drenched now in sweat. His eyes are also wet, but I'm pretty sure it's not from sweat. Hey, don't cry. Let's go. The man pulls Drake's arm again, but he still refuses to move. Wait for Commander to help Drake, or help Drake? Phoenix says she can't use magic, so she learned martial arts. Smart. Referring to him getting beat up by a girl laughing. Help him? Without Drake? Yeah, he might be in pretty big trouble. Okay, well, let's just help him. I'm thinking that if we go over and help him, that, I mean, the commander is pretty observant, pretty smart fella. He's gonna notice and come help automatically, I would think. So yeah, we can just go on our own and try to help him. So we built a relationship with the boy. Okay, that's enough. Stop it! And yep, he notices. Wolf says, Janice, no. Let me hand... I rush to Drake's aid. Let him go! Janice, stop. I hear Commander stuttering, and I glance back to see his lips quivering. But I quickly shift my attention back to Drake. Oh boy. Get your hands off him! He said he didn't want to go with you. Huh? No. I was just... Wait, do you know this boy? Are you his friend? Yes, no. Huh? I'm taking him with me. Just go away. Hey, don't tell me what to do, little girl. Janice, stop. Don't. Ugh. Commander presses a hand to his head and grits his teeth. Commander? Janice, stay back. Commander's breathing is ragged. He looks as nervous as Drake. Did he somehow catch Drake's social phobia? Are those even contagious? Don't! Commander grimaces as if he's in pain, even though all he's done is look at me and the man. Commander, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong with... officer! You're a police officer, right? Perfect. Huh? I think this boy is lost, but we can't get him to talk to us. We're worried, so we're going to take him to the police station. But he won't let us. That sounds like a lie. Ah. Officer? Commander takes a few deep breaths until his breathing is back to normal. Yes, thank you for keeping the boy safe. You can leave the rest to me. All right, then. The man turns to Drake. I'll see you, kid. You stay safe. The men leave us. Drake, are you alright? He looks fine. What about you, Commander? What happened just now? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about me. Okay. I look at Drake, who's still not talking. He doesn't look nearly as bad as he did just a couple of minutes ago. But his body's still shaking. We're going back to the eclipse. Let's go. Alright, we're going back to the eclipse, says Janice. I like how she's kind of like in control of everything. She's like the boss here. Thanks so much for that hydrate, Phoenix. I appreciate that. Yeah. Good stuff, thank you. Alright. No, just leave me alone. Let him catch his breath first, Janice. As much as I'd like to knock some sense into Drake, I decide to do just as the commander says. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Janice. Drake, we need to take you back to the madhouse, okay? Mr. and Miss Sherwood are waiting for you. Drake's answer comes in almost a whisper. I don't want to go back. He won't even look Commander in the eye. Then where do you want to go? Drake says nothing. Your friends are also waiting for you there. No answer. Don't you want to see your friends again? They're not my friends. Drake's voice is weak. He continues to avert his eyes and stoops his head even further. They were just your underlings. Your lackeys, right? My sudden remark startles him. He lifts his head and scowls. And you bullied anyone who refused to be your minions. He looks like he wants to say something, but he just continues to glower at me. Let me guess, you were too scared to talk to them otherwise. To overcome your fear of social interaction, you decided that you had to be the one who was feared instead. Because if people fear you, you don't have to fear them. Am I right? That's not... Not what? Not true? Can't deny it, can you? Of course you can't. You know it's true. And since you were beaten by a girl, You want to leave the madhouse because you're afraid the other kids won't fear you anymore. Damn, she's laying out some hard, cold truth, ain't she? Wow. You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to have my phobia. Drake raises his voice. So what? I was a bully. Isn't that how it's always been? The kids at school did the same thing to me before I lived at Eclipse. They mocked me, they laughed at me, they bullied me, just because I had a disease that couldn't be cured by magic. They called me a freak, they hid my mana potions, and they beat me up. It was bad enough to be unable to say what you wanted to always feel out of place wherever you are, to always be the odd kid with no friends. But I also had to deal with the humiliation, the intimidation, the hatred. You don't know what I had to go through just because I was a little different. All because I was insane. Oh, that's pathetic. You don't understand. How pathetic. You don't have my phobia. How very pathetic. You don't know how it feels. I think she does. But I know how pathetic you are. Wow. Wow, she just laying it on. Yeah, she's just laying it on this kid. But I mean, to be fair, she probably does have quite a bit of hostility built up towards him with him picking on her every freaking day at the Eclipse. Don't call me pathetic just because you can't talk to people. Oh no, that's not what I'm talking about. Huh? It's fine to struggle with your lunacy. I know you can't help it. I know you can't force yourself to do what others do. What's easy for others might not be so easy for you, and that's perfectly fine. I know that feeling. No, that's not right. I don't know exactly how you feel because everyone's experiences are different. But look at me. Perhaps people always making casting magic look like a walk in the park, but I could never do it no matter what I tried. I sort of understand what you're saying here. Your madness doesn't make you pathetic. What's pathetic is you're trying to inflict your pain on other people, despite knowing how painful it's been for you. Well, she's got a damn good point there, for sure. Phoenix says, butt kicked by a girl, saved by a girl, acted like a jerk all this time. That's what he gets. And yeah, exactly. Drake is no longer trembling, but his eyes are getting moist again. He's crying. I don't think it's from anxiety this time, though. Let's just go. I walk behind Drake and pull on his shirt collar. He falls on his butt. Ow! Drake flails about as I start dragging him. Ouch, you're hurting me! What are you doing? Don't! I'm not going back! Janice, stop. I let go. Drake stands up while rubbing his behind. That's funny. Just grabs him and fucking starts to dragging him. Well, that is so funny. Damn it, that hurt! Commander is playing his good cop role too well. I should have just told him to be a bad cop. Having two bad cops would make this so much easier. Drake, let's go back to your friends at the madhouse. Drake quiets down, and just as before, he looks away from the commander. Don't you want to play with your friends again? No answer. Heh, you probably just want to bully them, don't you? Shut up, it's not like I like being a bully. I understand, I'm sure your friends will understand. And the alienists and nurses at Eclipse will protect you. You don't have to be afraid. Yeah, what are you afraid of anyway? I'm not afraid. I just don't like talking to strangers, okay? Why do I have a feeling something's off here? That's alright. I'm sure Mr. Sherwood can help you get better. Yeah, Mr. Sherwood can help you get better. He's been treating me for years, but I haven't gotten any better. Don't give up. Just keep trying. He looks away. Yeah, just keep trying. For how long? How long do I have to keep trying? I'm sick of waiting. Hey, what? Why is it that you can talk to me normally, but you clam up when Commander says anything at all? Huh? Well, she's pretty blunt, pretty brutal as well with her words. Drake's gaze slowly shifted to Commander, but it's quickly averted the instant their eyes meet. This stupid moron. You said you don't like talking to strangers, right? Yeah, I guess. Well, the kids at the madhouse aren't strangers anymore, so you don't have to assert your dominance just to talk to them. Am I wrong? Right? Right, but they're just going to laugh at me if I go back. They already did. The boys laughed at me after I lost to you. Even the girls were giggling at me. Huh? Girls giggle? Who? I don't remember. There was Candela, and maybe also... Huh. I whack his head. Ow, what was that for? Are you stupid? Candela giggles at everything. I bet you're the least amusing thing in their eyes. Oh, well... I walk behind him and pull on his collar again. And once again, he falls on his ass. Oh my god. Ow, what are you doing? I'm dragging your ass back to the madhouse, that's what. No, stop it. Let me go. Let me go. Shut up or I'll make Commander summon the shit out of your ass. Ow, don't drag me, it hurts. Wolf. This time, Commander doesn't stop me. That's funny. Dennis, stop! A rock! Watch that rock, it's gonna hit me in the crotch! Oh, that is too fucking funny. Oh, Commander Wolf ended up giving in and letting her fucking just drag his ass all the way back to the madhouse. And he's screaming, oh my god, you're gonna fucking drag me over this rock and it's gonna hit my nuts. And she just keeps fucking dragging him. I can totally picture that. That's hilarious. Oh, this novel is too, what's the word? Adorable. I like it. That was awesome. Alright, with that, guys, we went about 30 minutes longer than I usually go for part 3 of One Small Fire at a Time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Phoenix is here, a few more people here. We have 4 people here watching. And hopefully if you're watching this over on YouTube, you're enjoying it as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure and comment down below. Let me know what you think of One Small Fire at a Time so far. And if you guys haven't listened to me play an octave higher, there's a playlist, guys. You can set the playlist, listen to it. You know, a lot of people find my reading these visual novels almost like ASMR. So maybe, you know, get a nice something to drink, a cup of coffee, a cup of hot cocoa or whatever, kick back on the couch, turn on my playlist of an octave higher, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy that one as well because it was written by the same developers. So I do want to go and thank you guys for being here, and we'll be back probably next week for part 4 of One Small Fire at a Time. I do want to go ahead and thank you guys for being here. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Phoenix says it's really good. That was awesome. So, yes, thanks so much for being here and listening, guys. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, and I know I'm enjoying it as well. So this is why I do these live streams. This is why I do the videos that I do. If I really enjoy something, if I enjoy playing a game or I enjoy a visual novel, I'd like to share that with as many people as, you know, that are out there that want to listen to it and that will also enjoy it. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you in the next one, in part 4 of my playthrough of One Small Fire at a Time. Have a great day or night, whatever time it is in your part of the world, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.